Hi, Math 20. Let's check out number 31 and 3/6. So we're going to graph x minus 3 over x squared plus 3. And then it also tells us that the function crosses the horizontal asymptote. So remember, we may cross horizontal asymptotes, but vertical asymptotes we never cross. Never. So in this example, it looks like we may cross the horizontal asymptote. So let's go ahead and find all these pieces. So let's find the horizontal asymptote and the vertical asymptote. So the horizontal asymptote, remember, we're going to go ahead and use those leading terms. So it's going to be x over x squared, which equals 1 over x. And then remember, it's all about when x gets big. So this goes to 0 when x gets big. Right? 1 over a million is very close to 0. So that means our horizontal asymptote is when y equals 0. Horizontal asymptotes are always y. And then we got a little hint that it crosses the horizontal asymptote in this example. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the function equal to the horizontal asymptote to find out when. So we're going to take x minus 3 over x squared plus 3, and we're going to set it equal to 0, because that's my horizontal asymptote. And rational functions equal 0 when the top equals 0. So x minus 3 equals 0, or x equals 3. So it crosses at 3, 0, right? The y value is 0, the x value is 3. And what else do we know about 3, 0? 3, 0 would also be considered a x-intercept, right? Because the y value is 0. So that thing gives us two pieces of information. It crosses the asymptote and it's an x-intercept. All right, so let's find the vertical asymptote and then maybe the y-intercept. So the vertical asymptote for rational is when the denominator equals 0. So x squared plus 3 equals 0, which is x squared equals negative 3, which is imaginary, so there is no vertical asymptote here. And then let's do the y-intercepts. That's just when x equals 0. So f of 0, x minus 3 over x squared plus 3, and we're going to plug in 0 for x, which is negative 3 over 3, or negative 1. So 0, negative 1. And the x-intercept we already found kind of on accident when we were doing this step. So let's see if we can piece this information together. So we know that we have y equals 0 is my horizontal asymptote. We go through 0, negative 1. And then we cross at 3, 0. And then this is technically enough information. So I know that the graph is below because the negative 1 is below, and then it crosses and goes above at 3, 0. Some of you might not feel confident with this, and so we can add a couple points just to be sure. But this really is enough information to graph. And then the other thing we know that's important is it doesn't go down and it doesn't go up. The asymptotes tell me that it flattens out. So we know that it'll be flat and flat. So it probably just has a little bit of a curve. We don't really, again, know how far down it goes. That's a calculus question. But then it goes back up and then it's flat. So that is enough to graph. If you want to get a little bit more accurate because sketching is just not structured enough for you, you can add more points. But because we are just doing sketches, it's totally fine. So maybe I'll just pick a couple points on each side. So let's do negative 2, negative 1. We already found 0 is negative 1. We'll do 1, 2. And then we already found 3 is 0, right? That's this point and this point. And then 4. So why don't you pause the video and plug those in? I'm just going to do it really quickly since this is just homework help, right? We're just going to plug each of those in to x minus 3 over x squared plus 3. So negative 2. We get negative 5 over 7. Negative 1, again, do these without me because this is homework. We get negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. For 1, we get maybe negative 1/2. Again, right, I'm not doing this to show you. This is homework help. 2, we get negative 1/7, hopefully. If I'm getting any of these wrong, I'm sorry. Yeah, negative 1/7. And then 4. 4 minus 3, we get 1. And then 16 plus 3, 19. And this is agreeing with what we've already done. Notice before 3, everything is negative because they're below. So negative 2 and 5/7, that makes sense. Negative 1, negative 1. That makes sense with my sketch. 1 and 1/2, right? And you'll notice these are getting closer and closer to 0 because we're going to cross. And then we cross, and then notice 4 is only 1/19. So that means, again, showing me that the graph isn't going crazy high up, it's staying nice and flat. So hopefully this helped you graph. You really didn't need the points. Notice I did it without the points. Yeah, but just remember asymptotes are going to make that graph flatten out and not keep going like a polynomial. So that's a big takeaway from this, is asymptotes make it go flat. And that's it.